continue my talk on the right understanding. I mentioned in my last talk, Venerable Sariputta explained right understanding in 16 ways. We discussed these 60, out of these 16 we discussed on the wholesome and their roots and the unwholesome and their roots. That is number one. Number two, we discussed of food, 4 types of food. Number 3 is 4 noble truth. Number 4, we discuss the death, the old age and death. Then we discuss as number 6 as birth. Today we are discussing of existence. That is, existence means bhava, becoming or being. Sometimes we call being, sometimes we can call existence. Now, remember, if one understands one of these 16 ways that Venerable Sariputta explained, one can attain full enlightenment in this very life. If we understand one of these 16, because every one is explained with 4 noble truths. The first one is accepting the truth. Second is its cause. Third is the end. Fourth is the path leading to the end. For instance, for food, he explained in this way: food we understand, origin of food we must understand, end of food we understand, and the path leading to the end of food. Food he discussed not in terms of material food, but mental, psychological food that keeps nourishing our existence in samsara. And therefore, if we understand one of these 16 ways, we can gain full liberation. So today we are discussing number 7, being. Being or existence is divided into 2. They are called kamma bhava and vipaka bhava. Kamma bhava means the committing kammas. Vipaka means their results. If we don't commit karma, if karma does not is committed, results will not be there. We cannot expect the results without karma. So this also is very closely related to dependent origination. So see the depth of this explanation. So, therefore the realm of rebirth depends on how we live this life. The way we live this life is guided by our thoughts, which is called Chetana. Chetana means thought, thinking, which we call kamma. Not we call, the Buddha call. Buddha call thoughts are our kamma, thoughts. Therefore, thought or kamma we must understand in this way. I defined it some times ago. Let me repeat that definition of kamma. Kamma is any volitional thoughts, words and deeds committed by a person whose mind is not free from greed, hatred and delusion. That is called kamma. If somebody's mind is totally free from greed, hatred and delusion, although still he can think, he can work, he can speak, but his or her thoughts, words, deeds are not kamma. Why not? Their mind is totally free from greed, hatred and delusion. For instance, the Buddha and Arahant, fully enlightened Arahant, they speak, they think, they act. But their thoughts, words, deeds don't have any greed, hatred or delusion. And therefore we must understand, in order to make something a kamma, just mere thought is not enough. That thought must be charged with greed, hatred and delusion. That we must keep in mind. That is very, very important to remember. Those beings who engage in bad action, as Venerable Sariputta mentioned, bad actions in motivated by the three unwholesome roots of greed, hatred and delusion, they generate unwholesome kamma, leading them to rebirth into lower states of existence. And if it ripens in the human world, that karma brings them pain and misfortune. Human plane is very somewhat wholesome place, and yet the person will experience a lot of pain, suffering, misfortune, unfortunate things happen. I don't have to list them. We can see among human beings, although they are human, they suffer from various things. Born with lot of problems, lot of defects, deformation, and so forth and so on. I don't have to list. We just look around the human world. We can see this. They are the product of their own karma. Of course, that gives us an opportunity to generate merits by developing our metta, compassion, joy, appreciative joy and equanimity and so on. But we must understand, although we don't speak in loud, in public, we must understand this very true nature of karma. So, if those beings who engage in good actions, good actions involved by the wholesome roots, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, generates wholesome karma that leads them to higher state of existence and ripen in the human world as happiness and good fortune. When they are born as human beings, they are happy, relaxed, they enjoy life. They don't think of doing wrong things to produce unwholesome, painful results. Now, this is the reason why Venerable Sariputta mentioned 10 unwholesome karmas and 10 wholesome karmas at the very beginning of this series of talks on right understanding. And therefore we have to remember that. So Buddha refers to various planes of existence into which rebirth can occur. And he also gives some indication of types of karma that lead to those planes. We don't have time to explain all of them in detail, but we just remember that much. So, the Buddhist cosmology or existence in samsara divided into 3 broad realms. These 3 are the sense pleasure realm, the fine material realm, and the immaterial realm. Each of these comprises a range of subsidiary planes amounting to total of 31 planes of existence. 31 planes of existence. That is being. What are these 31 planes of existence? Sense pleasure realms. Sense pleasure realms, beings enjoy sensual pleasures in those realms. And they are one group. They are 11 in number. Sense pleasure realms are 11 in number. They are 4 unhappy states. They are called bad destination or state of deprivation. They are called apaya in Pali, apaya. Apaya means literally Aya means gaining joy, happiness and peace. Apaya means not gaining joy, happiness and peace. There are 4 in number. And then health, which stays intense torment as described in Buddha's teachings in discourses. That is number 1. Number 2, animal kingdom. Animal kingdom, we all know, no matter how beautiful they look, they suffer all the time. They cannot make any decision to overcome their suffering. They just don't know. That is number 2 of these 31 planes of existence. Number 3 is ghosts, petas, ghostly existence, peta. Then number 4, of course, peta existence, they are very, they involve constant combat, not mentioned as separate plane in sutras. Then the last is called asuras, sphere of asuras. These are the 4 woeful or painful states of existence. Then there are there are 6 realms called heavens. 6 of them. One is the deities live under 4 great kings, Chatum Maharajaga. They dominate their own directions, 4 directions, and they are living very happy life. And the second is Tavatimsa. First one is Chatum Maharajaga. Second is Tavatimsa. Tavatimsa is Timsa means 30. Tav means 3. 33 kinds of deities. Then of course they are governed or dominated by king of deities called Sakka. Sometimes we call Indra. In Sanskrit tradition, Hindu tradition, he is called Indra. And then there is another realm. It's called Yama, and Tusita also is Chatumariga Tavsinsai. Then Yama is another realm where they tend to forget their own being. Then god of Tusita heaven, it was the Tusita heaven where Buddha, before he came down to human world, as Bodhisattva, one who was destined to become Buddha, lived, Tusita. Then the number 5 is called Nimmana Rati. That means they delight in their own creation, Nimmana Rati. Then there is another realm called Paranimita Vasavatti. That is some deities who wield the power over others' creation. Somebody else create and others enjoy it. And the last is called Mara, tempter in Buddhist cosmology. So these are born into these states according to their karma. And human world is number 7. So 6 divine realms, human realm is 7, and woeful states are 4. They are altogether 11. Now there are 15 realms or 16 realms called fine material forms. Fine material forms. And these 16 of fine material form are there for those who practice Jhanas. Each jhana has 4 jhanas, material jhanas. Each jhana even practices in 3 levels, like someone practices, for example, the first jhana in normal, ordinary level. And in that level, while the person is in that level, passes away. And that person will be reborn as a member of Brahma. That's called Brahma Parasajya. And if the person practices first jhana in the medium level, little higher, then also he will be born in Brahma realm and as chief advisor to Brahma. And if the person practices the first level or the superior level, the best, highest level, that person will be born in as Brahma in that level. Like that, each jhana has a power to give rebirth in 3 levels, 3 realms, according to the way the person developed the jhanas. And the 4th jhana has 4. First 3 has 12, and then the last one has 4. And then These are 16. And then those who practice supramundane meditation, attain supramundane level, and attain the third level of attainment called anagami. That anagami persons will be, they are divided into 5, and they will be reborn in 5 anagami levels. There are realms called Suddhavasa, pure abodes. Pure abodes is Aviha, Atappa, Sudassa, Sudassi, Akanittaka. Every anagami will go through these 5 states, and any anagami can go in through a state depending on the level that person has practiced anagami. These are very subtle things, and so altogether there are 16 Brahma realms for somebody to, people to assign, people to be born. And therefore, when Buddha taught the Dhamma, keeping all this in mind, he taught the Dhamma. Suppose somebody goes to him and then he taught Dhamma. By teaching Dhamma, he don't gain merits because his mind is free from greed, hatred and delusion. He does it as an action out of compassion for all living beings. And he taught the Dhamma in 4 steps. In 4 steps. Number 1, he would talk about dana, generosity. And when person practices generosity, the person's mind is getting ready to give up, then Buddha would talk about sila, morality, benefit of morality. Then he would talk about sagga, going to heavens, one of the 16, one of these 6 heavens or 16 heavens, 16 realms. And he would talk about enjoying pleasure. And enjoying pleasure is called asada. I mentioned asada has their adinava. Asada is enjoyment. Enjoyment has danger. He would talk about the danger. Any enjoyment has danger. And then he would talk about renunciation, nissarana, giving up. That's called nekkhamma. We mentioned these things earlier. These are the 4 steps that Buddha followed to teach Dhamma, to guide people to right destination, right place to exist, until the person is taught the benefit of renunciation, that is ultimate goal, attaining liberation, nibbana. So, keeping this in mind, Buddha taught the Dhamma. So that is, I think, today's talk on existence. Existence. That's called bhava. Bhava. Bhava means becoming. 2 types of becoming. Kamma bhava and vipaka bhava. Kamma is the cause, vipaka is the result. And this cause will result in this existence. In order to show that, I gave it this little talk, very brief talk on existence, but it is very profound and deep subject. But unfortunately our time is up, and I want to end this talk right now and share our merits with everybody, wishing them peace, happiness, and attaining full liberation. That is, all those who are suffering in hospitals, taken care of by doctors, nurses, and hospital staffs, may they recover very quickly, return to normal health, and continue their Dhamma practice and liberate from samsara. And those very compassionate doctors, nurses, hospital staffs who dedicate out of compassion, metta, even risking their own life, may they continue their marvelous humanitarian service and live long in very good health, continue their Dhamma practice and attain liberation. And those who have lost their loved ones may still have some grief, sorrow, lamentation. May they be relieved from that suffering and return to normal health and continue their Dhamma practice and liberate themselves from samsara. May all those generous people who very generously support all these activities, including inventing vaccine, all sort of vaccines for all kind of diseases, variants of COVID-19 and so forth, may they continue their wonderful service for the humankind and live long in very wonderful life, live long in good health and attain liberation. And all the leaders who gave very meaningful leadership to help these people to overcome their disease, this COVID-19 and its variants, may they continue their wonderful leadership. Overall, I want to wish all of you peace, happiness, and liberation from samsara, and I hope you all will continue your practice, and we all together wish everyone peace and happiness. This is our very sincere metta practice for all living beings. We all attain liberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Terawan Sanai.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.